The Boston Celtics are heading for a seismic shift, and it's not just a tweak around the edges. It's a potential unraveling of a championship contender, with Jayson Tatum's brutal injury putting next season in jeopardy and the franchise staring down the barrel of a financial crisis. Brad Stevens isn't just retooling, he's being forced into uncomfortable decisions. The championship window isn't gently closing, it's slamming shut unless radical action is taken. And the first casualties might be Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Let's start with Porzingis. His trade value is in freefall, and that's not hyperbole. His lingering durability issues have once again made him more liability than luxury. Once seen as a unicorn, he's now viewed across the league as an expensive question mark. Boston knows this. Rival execs know this, which means that if anyone's getting moved for real value, it's Holiday. And that, frankly, is a gut punch. Holiday was brought in not just for his two-way versatility, but for his locker room presence, playoff mettle, and championship DNA. He's one of the rare veterans who elevates the floor and the ceiling of a contender. But at 34, and with $37 million on the books for next season, he's an expensive luxury in a league where the second apron is dictating roster moves more than team chemistry. According to MassLive's Brian Robb, the Clippers are eyeing Holiday. And it makes sense. Pairing him with Harden would finally give LA a guard rotation that plays both ends. The proposed return? Norman Powell and Derek Jones Jr. At first glance, that might feel like a step down. But let's be honest, this is a salary reset disguised as a rotation adjustment. Powell is on an expiring $20.4 million deal, and Jones Jr. is owed just $10 million through 2026. That's significant cap relief, especially in a future where Boston will be paying Tatum, Brown, and likely still trying to keep Derek White. And while neither Powell nor Jones moves the needle like Holiday, they're competent, playoff-tested role players who can hold the fort while Tatum rehabs. For the Clippers, it's a bet on maturity, identity, and playoff resolve. Holiday might not be the defensive menace he was in Milwaukee, but he's still a better point-of-attack defender than anyone LA currently has. His presence could stabilize a locker room that's long been too star-heavy and short on leadership. Powell, though coming off a career year, is 32 and angling for a new deal. Holiday offers a clearer, if shorter, path to contention. Make no mistake, Boston doesn't want to trade Holiday, but the front office is walking a financial tightrope with no safety net. The days of simply outspending problems are over. Now it's about choosing between sustaining competitiveness or mortgaging the future. This trade proposal, it threads that needle. It preserves some playoff relevance while beginning a quiet, necessary reshuffle. The Tatum injury forced Boston's hand. The new CBA is tightening the grip. And for Brad Stevens, the most ruthless part of team building may just be beginning. If the Boston Celtics stand pat this offseason, they won't just enter next year with the most expensive roster in the NBA. They'll be committing financial suicide for a team with no realistic shot at a title. Let that sink in. Over $330 million in total payroll and tax for a team that might not even survive the second round, and whose franchise cornerstone, Jayson Tatum, is projected to miss the entire season due to a ruptured right Achilles. That's not just expensive. It's catastrophic asset mismanagement. According to Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report, there's a potential three-team deal that would save the Celtics a staggering $233.8 million. It would send Jrue Holiday to the Dallas Mavericks and Kristaps Porzingis, Xavier Tillman Sr., and Neemias Queta to the Brooklyn Nets. In return, Boston would receive Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington from Dallas and Drew Timm from Brooklyn. It's not flashy, but here's the harsh truth. Boston cannot afford to chase sentiment over strategy. Tatum's absence changes everything. This isn't about loyalty, it's about survival. You don't build around a luxury Tatapocalypse when your top 5 MVP candidate is out indefinitely. Gafford and Washington aren't stars, but they're functional, durable, and significantly cheaper. And in a lost season, that might be the most valuable trait. Gafford brings vertical rim presence. Playoff experience? and low-maintenance production. PJ Washington offers versatility and shot creation from the wing, something Boston will desperately need without Tatum. Neither will carry a team, but they allow the Celtics to remain watchable and competent without setting their books on fire. The new ownership group has a decision to make. Prove they're savvy enough to navigate a brutal cap landscape, or double down on a dead-end roster with no superstar, no flexibility, and no future. The Celtics aren't running it back. They're running into a wall. And if Brad Stevens doesn't make a move now, Boston won't just be the most expensive team in the NBA next year. They'll be the most expensive cautionary tale in modern league history. The calm before the storm. Why the Celtics could detonate the offseason. The NBA Finals may be the grand finale of the season, but for front offices around the league, especially in Boston, it's just the silence before a potentially seismic storm. According to Brian Robb, the trade market is set to ignite the moment the confetti falls on the champion. And for the Celtics, that means one thing: decisions with consequences. Robb hints at a critical timing issue. Teams are expected to pull the trigger on blockbuster deals before the NBA draft on June 25th. Why? Because draft picks, especially late first-rounders like Boston's 28th, are leverage. Not valuable enough to build a franchise around, but enticing enough to sweeten a deal. If a star gets moved, odds are the draft is involved. And if Brad Stevens plans to be more than a spectator, the clock is ticking. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. The Celtics are walking a financial tightrope. With Jayson Tatum's supermax looming and Jaylen Brown already on one, the margin for error is evaporating. Veteran minimums might be all they can afford to fill out the roster. Names like Jayson Tate and Taurean Prince are being floated. Solid. Role players, sure, but hardly needle movers for a team chasing titles, not treading water. The elephant in the room. Jrue Holiday. Danny LaRue of The Athletic doesn't mince words. Holiday's contract, 3 years, $104.4 million, is Boston's most movable asset. That's a polite way of saying it's a massive commitment to a player whose offensive limitations became painfully visible under playoff pressure. LaRue even suggests that simply offloading Jrue might require attaching the 28th pick as a bribe. That's not a trade. That's a financial escape plan, disguised as roster optimization. And what about the untouchables? In theory, it's Tatum. But LaRue's recommendations suggest a far more aggressive, and perhaps overdue, reassessment. Trade Holiday. Re-sign Horford. A leader, yes, but 38 and fading. Re-engage Cornet. A fringe big who's been serviceable. Listen to offers for Achilles. Brown and White, yes, both. And try to lock in Porzingis before he inevitably becomes a question mark again. All of this, of course, is predicated on a bigger domino effect, the status of true superstars. Once the league settles the fates of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant, whether they stay, get moved, or drop hints, there will be a frenzy. Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe suggests the Celtics could benefit from the leftovers of that chaos. But is Boston ready to be a scavenger? Or will it try to be the apex predator? Because here's the brutal truth: continuity can be comfort, or it can be complacency. The Celtics have reached the mountaintop before. They've also watched it crumble beneath them. This summer will reveal what this front office truly believes: that this core can win, or that it's time to blow it up.